Welcome to episode 125 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I've got a hunter, and I've got Blue here. Yeah!
Gray.
Good evening, everybody.
And Lore Wrangler from Focus Fire Chat, Blue.
I'm supposed to say this, but burn bright, burn blue.
We're going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G1NET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimar cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Hollow River. Quick announcement. We are very close to having the website back up. Had to do a complete scrub. Just because I don't even know. It's a great question why it's not working. All the files remain the same. So I don't know. I don't know what was up with it. So I just decided to redo the whole thing in a manner that would be much easier to edit moving forward. I did a ton of work on that last website, and if you ever saw it, know that I was insanely proud of that. Like all of the colors and the shapes and everything was exactly the way I imagined it. So know that I am mourning the loss of that website because I did love it. I want to talk to our guest, Blue from Focus Fire Chat. I want to ask you questions. I want to know more about you. And I have noticed a pattern with guests, like there's certain things that just start the conversation. And so what I'd like to start off with, Blue, right now, is where video games started for you. This is a question that I ask everybody, and I think that I would like to put it into make it into a format to where it will just be on a list of questions that we ask everybody anyways, because I don't want to forget this, because this is important. We are sitting here chit-chatting about a video game, and this is the deepest I've ever gotten into a community easily, and it feels great, and I love talking about Destiny, and I know that you love talking about Destiny because Focus Fire Chat is fantastic. I love all of the effort that you put into it, and jealous on a number of levels. I feel like what you've got there is sort of a cross between like a PBS special or like a Nova special on a scientific topic / those two old guys from the Muppet Show laughing at everything that the people down there are saying, like equal parts. Like part of what you're saying is really super awesome, and you've dug out some amazing nuggets that are just sitting there waiting for anyone to gather up. And then the other part is the peanut gallery. This show is just the peanut gallery. So
that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
So I want to know where it began. Where did video games begin for you?
Oh man. I'm trying to remember. Like, it's funny because like growing up, I wasn't allowed to play video games. So we played a lot. Like I grew up playing a lot of board games and tabletop games. Actually, that's why I got into where we were chatting before show about D&D. That's where I kind of got in. That's where the whole, like, you know, using your imagination. I've been a very avid reader my entire life. So imagination's not hard for me to kind of use. And then like, I remember, oh man, I don't even remember what the first game was. It was probably a Zelda game on the NES or SNES. I was over at a friend's and he had one just sitting out and we played it. And, yeah, that was kind of like, I was like, oh my God, there's things out there that actually digitalize and, you know, visually present things that up until that point we'd had to kind of come up with in our own heads. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control from that point. It wasn't until much later that I was able to actually, you know, get you know, the money together to build my own computer. I started doing like PC games a little bit. And then when I got into high school, that's when the Xbox came out. And the Xbox just was so much easier because you didn't have to worry. Like, the thing, I love PC games. Problem with PC is it changes every like month. If you're not keeping up with it, it becomes a very expensive hobby, which is why I kind of gravitated towards the console. Because then with the console, all I have to do is buy the game, pop it in, and we're good. And actually, that's where I got into Halo, which was the gateway into the whole Bungie thing. We'll talk about that in just a minute with the blue fire, which I know someone posited I think a joking question, but I actually have like a page of notes for you guys on the blue fire and the lore behind that.
Sweet.
So like, I got into Halo. First person shooters was just kind of like that was one of the first person shooters that I played, and it just clicked in my head. Like, it just made sense. And so ever since then, that's kind of where I've been, is first person shooters. Really, I still love RPGs. Elder Scrolls is the dangerous thing. When they said Skyrim was coming to Xbox One, I was allowed to purchase it, but you're talking to someone who put in about 4,000 hours in Skyrim on 360. So I was required. My wife kind of made a caveat, is like, you can only play it, you know, not as much as you played it last time, which the bar was pretty high. So I'm pretty comfortable with it. But yeah, so yeah, RPGs is definitely where I kind of gravitate, mostly because of the story. Like, it's because, you know, first person shooters, just sadly they don't invest a lot in explaining why you're doing it. It's just, you know, run and gun, which is actually kind of where Destiny came from. You made a comment about this is the first community that you got really involved in. It's the same for me. Funny story for me, you know, leading into Destiny, is I got Destiny when I bought my Xbox One for free. The only reason I got Destiny, I actually did not. I didn't know. I mean, I knew Bungie was making a game. Didn't know what they were doing. I actually bought my Xbox One as a pre-order for the Master Chief Collection, and it was a Black Friday deal. And as a part, I got a choice between Diablo 3 and Destiny. So I went and Twitch and, you know, watched some of it. And I was talking to my brother, and we were like, yeah, we're not going to play Diablo 3, not on the console. We're going to play that on PC. So we got Destiny. He he was not a fan of Destiny. So but yeah, that's when I got introduced into like the whole community. And it just, the spiraling down just kept going, and the rabbit hole never ends, which is not a bad thing. This community has given, so much to just me as far as like giving a connection. I have friends that I would have never imagined meeting. I've gotten to go to things that I would, are on my bucket list. I got to go to E3 last year because of it. Something that, as a gamer and as a person who's, my job is tech, that was amazing. And so, for me, it's just even being able to be a part of this community is an amazing honor. So yeah, I mean, totally back to what you were saying. This is the first community that I've ever kind of really sunk into. And it's not a bad thing at all. I think it's one of the best communities out there. It's
an interesting look at it, because I feel like when I found the community, I just felt like I had words welling up inside of me to say to these people. Like I had something I wanted to say. Like I never understood Twitter before Destiny. I had a Twitter because I wanted to understand it. And I recognized it as the social media outlet that it was. Like I recognized its usefulness. I just didn't see it personally. And then just this whole world opened up to me with all of these people who also shared this interest in talking about this. I did want to mention that I am insanely interested in a household where you weren't allowed to play video games, but Dungeons and Dragons was cool, because that's got to be a great topic.
It was interesting. My parents were, I don't know, like growing up, it was never like it wasn't taboo. It was just like I grew up on a ranch. That's where, I grew up, and that's kind of, we don't really, first off, that doesn't mean that we were really connected internet wise. So, which back then, wasn't a big deal. AOL still came out there because you still had the telephone wire. But, it was just like my parents, I guess, just had this mentality that if it was daylight, the kids should be outside playing or working. I'm a farrier on the side, so I shoe horses. And, that was something that I picked up because of that. And so it was, I don't know, like it's like they have no problem with the fantasy. They have no problem with science fiction, nothing, like there's nothing at all, like magic, anything like that. It wasn't like a moral thing. It was a thing of like, they viewed video games as basically similar to TV, which is basically, you sit there passively and you don't do anything. You don't interact. Well, anyone who plays video games, which all of us do, knows that's not the case. Like you're usually, especially with puzzle games and RPGs and stuff like that, like Zelda, you're always constantly trying to figure out what's going on, where are you supposed to go, and all this. But yeah, and so like I guess I have no idea the logic. I'm like, to me, it's like I've grown now to a point where video games is so integral to my life that I'm like, I can't. My 3-year-old knows how to play video games. He's not very good. He's figuring it out, but we're getting there. He likes Minecraft and Lego games, but those are fine for his age. But I mean, like, I can't, in today's world, especially, I can't imagine doing that. But yeah, it was more about, they wanted us outside. They wanted us actually actively using our brains. And for whatever reason, they perceived video games to not do that, which, given some video games, I can totally understand that. But
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I could definitely see that. I had what I can only describe as exactly the opposite growing up. So like not only were video games a thing in my house, it was like the thing that my dad wanted to do most. And so I spent hours and hours watching him play video games, waiting for my turn, which amounted to, okay, well, play this until I come back. He's just going to go take a piss and then come back, and then it's time to watch MTV. So
yeah. And I think it was mostly for us. It was like I said, growing up on a ranch, there's always stuff to do. Like there's never downtime. Downtime is it's night and you need to sleep because you've been worn out from working all day. So I mean, it was a weird combination of that, and then having my parents have their attitude that they had towards just video, like media in general. But yeah, it was just a weird confluence of things. Because I mean, I talk to my parents every day, and it's like they don't care. They know I'm on a podcast that talks about video games, and they're proud of it. So it's like they don't have a problem with it. It was just something that they were just like, this is stupid. And then, because for them it made perfect sense. So
I see. It's interesting that you bring this up, this background, because I feel like you've brought that I lived on a farm work ethic with you into this lore that you hunt down. Like you, and this also is reflected in the 4,000 plus hours that you put into Skyrim. Like you are busy, making shit happen. And I think that's part of, your parents instilled that in you.
Right.
Here is some work ethic that you need to do. And so you get that done. I have actually had my dad on this show.
Nice.
And that show was episode 40. So anyone out there wants to hear what my dad has to say about video games, Destiny specifically. That was a while back though. I need to have him on the show again soon. Hi, sweetheart. Listen, I'm live. Listen, say hi to everybody. And say sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams. All right, I love you, sweetheart. I see you tomorrow. Go on. Yeah, I'm sad too. We're all sad. Okay, so I want to talk about Focus Fire Chat. I want to know when, like, what was it that propelled you? Because for me, this podcast was, I don't even know. I don't even know. I would be crazy right now if I didn't have an opportunity to talk to people about this every single week. And so I feel like that's got to be your story as well. Like you saw this community and you reached out, you wanted to be part of this, but that wasn't enough, and not only do you have this podcast, like we just shoot the shit. Like I think up some stuff I want to talk about Destiny to my friends, and then we talk about it on the show, or I talk about it on the show. Side note, your answers are pretty wordy and awesome. We can only have one Remy on this show, so keep it low.
Yeah, so
but yeah, Focus Fire Chat, where did it come from? How did you find your crew? Like, how did that evolve? Did you reach out to friends, or did you just have other people who were very interested in talking about it? I would love to hear this story.
Yeah. Okay. So I used to, when I first started playing Destiny, I joined up with the Dads of Destiny, and which quickly translated into we couldn't find any group that fit the group that we were playing with, and so we made our own. Like we made our own clan. So that put me into, and then we were a family clan because we didn't really care about that. So we were kind of unique in the Dads in that we kind of just allowed everybody to come in. And that put me in a unique position within the Dads at Destiny that gave me opportunity to join basically as an admin / advisor for their furthering of the family connections. That then put me in connection with Justin in their admin chat. And Justin and I were the ones that would constantly get in trouble in the admin chat for talking about what the story meant. We were constantly being told to take it, put it in a different. So finally we got tired of that, and we just went and made our own chat room. And we couldn't really figure out a name for it. Justin came up with the idea of doing the Focus Fire Chat because that would clue us into actually focusing on a topic, because in those days it wasn't focused at all. We didn't have any structure at all because we weren't doing a podcast. We were just doing a chat. And then it was shortly after that, it was about probably a month after we got started with that. That's one of the other admins in the DoD was like, I love hearing what you guys have to say, but holy hell, you talk. Like, he said, like, I log into chat and he could only log in like once a day. And he's like, I log in and there's over 1,000 messages that I have to go through because of you guys talking about different pieces of lore. I don't have time to do that. Can you just like do a 2-hour review every week?
That's awesome.
And so then we're like, yeah, that probably is not a bad idea. Let's try that. And that's where the podcast came from. It was like, we originally was just like, that's why kind of at the start of every show, it's like, hey, this is a recap of the previous week for those who aren't able to participate. That was completely the origin of that chat. And we started it on Twitch. None of us had any clue what we were doing. So we just kind of, blind leading the blind, stumbled our way around. Picked up Justin and Willie and I were the original three. And then Willie had some stuff come up in real life, so he had to take a step back. So Justin and I were there for, a little while. And then we got Mel, we actually met Mel when we do more than Destiny now. So that's the other fun part is we do Destiny every week. And then once a month, we have another chat that's going on parallel to the Focus Fire chat that's called Extra Lore, which is basically any other game, any game at all. Let's talk about that because, gamers, we don't just pick one game to play. We play lots. So then we do that every month. And then we also do what's called behind the scenes. And that's like once every quarter. One of our episodes was cosplay. So we were talking to a couple cosplayers, and we got Wind of the Stars, Mel. We got her on for an episode, interviewed her, talked to her all then. The synergy between the group was really great. So then, we kind of had her come on. We kind of had her come on more than once, the group kept doing fine. Had her come on as a co-host. And then Green, kind of the same thing. Green actually helped us out, she still does, help us out with all the mind maps, and which we do every week. We put them all in the show notes. So it just helps organize thoughts. She was really, really good at the mind maps. And so, it was, again, kind of the same thing. We had her on and just clicked. We had her on again, kept clicking. Like, the group was great. And so we just... Then as far as the chat, man, we originally were on Band, which was nice to a degree. Band has a limit. So there's a giant inside joke that I like creating new chat rooms. It's pretty true. I have way too many chat rooms. Band has a limit to how many chat rooms you can create. And as the admin, that was a problem because as we got more people, they wanted more chat rooms. Like, we have chat rooms for, I'm looking right now. We have Dark Souls, we have Dishonored, we have TV shows, Stranger Things, comics. I mean, everything. We have a book chat now that Green, pretty much runs. And like for this month, we're doing American Gods. They're doing a reading club for American Gods. Last month was, Ready Player One. Like, they're just that's what they're doing now. And it's like, so, when Band, it was like, oh, I can only create 15. Well, that's going to be a problem because we're sitting at like 30 right now. So we look around, we moved to Discord, which was, it was rough, but it was worth it. Because Discord has a lot more availability for bots and stuff like that we use a lot in the background. And yeah, it just keeps growing. Like every time I turn around, there's someone new that's just jumping in. We try to make it a really, really friendly place. Our entire goal is that, hey, we understand that the lore is pretty in depth. We can spend forever talking about, don't get me started on Osiris. It's very in depth, and that can be very intimidating for people, especially if they're like, hey, I know that these are called warlocks, but I don't know what they do. Okay, let us explain it. So we try to really create an environment in which someone who just picked up the game and has been like you were saying before, your daughter playing the warlock, Nova Bomb. Oh, that's so cool. Where does that come from? We try to make an environment that someone feels comfortable asking that question, because a lot of, the sad thing about the internet is a lot of people, they are kind of dicks about people who don't know. And the thing is like none of us know everything. So it's only coming together that we learn. And so that's kind of the entire, that's the core philosophy that we try to keep together there. And yeah, it just, like I said, it's like every time I turn around, there's someone who's like, hey, I really like this. Can we create a room for this? And it's, yeah, go for it. If you guys want to talk about it, we'll talk about it, and so there. Yeah, Dark Souls. Chat's talking about the Dark Souls chat. It gets interesting. That's a brutal chat, as it should be.
Excellent. Well, I have a bunch more questions, but I want to open this up to the other panelists. Gray, what question or questions do you have for Blue?
I'd like to start out with who do you think is going to win tomorrow, Baylor or New Mexico State?
Is this hand egg or is this soccer football?
Oh, really?
I think wait, hang on. Is this giant tournament that's going on downtown that keeps interrupting my work schedule?
It is the NCAA basketball tournament, but that's
Isn't Baylor the primary pick usually on these things?
They are the 3 seed. That was a joke for our gaming friends, but our chat does say go with Baylor, so I'm going with Baylor.
I was gonna say gray. Green says Baylor.
That makes
Green
sense. Their
says
color is
Baylor.
green. My parents
All
live in Waco, so I feel like I have to go with Baylor, even though I feel kind of weird saying that.
Yeah. That's a pretty cute pup you got there in the background as well.
Yeah. That's Cade.
Gets to be on stream. Cade?
Yeah.
Cade 6.
Cade, yeah.
Nice. I like
We
it.
got him when he was about 5 pounds, and he's now 80.
Oh my God.
Boy.
So he grew fast. Yeah, we have a Cade cam on our gaming streams. So everyone jumps in and checks on him.
So I have 2 questions, but I'll only circle back to the second if none of these guys take it. So my initial question is, what is your favorite topic out of the Destiny lore?
It's funny. I play a hunter, but the warlock lore is really fascinating. Mostly because philosophically, a lot of them are usually more affiliated with actually understanding what the hell's going on. Everything else is kind of stabby, punch. And that's gross oversimplification of the of the classes. But like my favorite one I gravitate towards is usually Osiris or the Ahamkara. Just simply because, again, there's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of really small hints that are completely unconnected, and it's infuriating. And so it's really fun trying to work out connections between that. And then, yeah, just because the influence of normal mythology, puts a lot of things into perspective. And with Osiris, a lot of those things are disturbing. So it's just interesting to see how those things are either going to come to fruition or if they're just, oh, that was a cool name. We're going to use that name. So, because they do that sometimes too, which is also kind of infuriating. But yes, Osiris and the Ahamkara would definitely be up there for me.
Sharks, questions for our sister podcast, Focus Fire Chat, Blue.
Okay, so I was going to start with an icebreaker, but I thought you had way too many puns last show.
Oh, God.
Anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, go and check out their podcast. It is awesome. Okay, no, seriously though. So my question is you guys go really deep into the lore, and it's really cool. And when I contacted you, I said, "Oh, the lore master. I want the lore master on." Oh, no, the lore master's Bife. Okay, and yeah, everybody knows Bife. We've had Bife on this show, and Bife is badass. But to be quite honest, okay, the way that you guys go into your lore, you come up with stuff that is so out there. It's like, how the hell do you come up with all this information? You must be sitting there reading textbook after textbook after textbook for weeks on end. But it can't be because you only decide a week beforehand. So, what the hell? What's going on?
Well, I think a lot of that is I actually, when I was in college, so I have a degree in psychology, but my focus is in thanatology, which is the study of death and dying. And when I originally was going to college, my original degree was actually a triple degree in history, philosophy, and English. So I didn't change to psychology until about my second year in college. So for the first year and a half of college, I was doing triple degree workload. So for me, like, and I'm assuming you're talking about like the philosophy connections and stuff, which actually there's going to be a ton of them. There's going to be a ton of them tomorrow too, because we're doing Thanatonauts. But for me, those connections, like they're not, I don't even know how to explain this. When someone starts talking about a particular topic, there's a connection that's made in my head, the way that I think, with the information that I've read. And I've read, like I said, I spent 2.5-3 years literally reading back to back all the classic philosophers and mathematicians, geometrical theories, all these things. And so, yeah, it just, to me, it's this data that's stored in my head. And so when you guys, when someone says something, it's like, oh, that resonates. I mean, I am definitely not remembering everything, but it's enough for me to know, okay, I need to go look up this, this information here, rather than, blah, blah. What was the thing that it just happened actually? We're talking about Sun Singers this week. And we were talking about what does it mean when they keep talking about sun singers. They keep talking about the music of the universe, the music of this. And, when you understand the music, you can make the light sing. And I'll be honest, the first thing that I thought was Music of the Spheres, which is, most people recognize that from Marty O'Donnell's soundtrack for Destiny. That's actually an ancient Pythagorean theorem that explains the geometrical composition of the universe, that then later gets developed into Plato and Aristotle. They start building into metaphysical terms what that means as far as progressing through understanding and, in the way that you should live in a harmonious life. Like that to me, that was the first thing. You say music of the universe, I immediately am connecting Aristotle, Plato, and Pythagoras. Like that's where I'm going with that. So, but yeah.
Gray's computer is dying. Gray's computer just fucking flatlined right here in front of us.
Hey, you're going to get us iTunes dinged, Remy.
No, it's okay.
That potty mouth.
We're mature on iTunes. I can't hold myself to not cussing, so why hold the podcast?
Sharks. That's where, like, to me, I'm like, that's why I have Justin, because Justin's the one that's telling me, Blue, shut up. Stop talking. Because like that's where my head starts. That's where my brain connects things. So for me, it's just literally I just think that way. Whereas Justin, I'm talking to Justin offline about stuff, and he's like, I thought it meant guitars, like, which is, no, he doesn't say that. But it's like we come from so many different perspectives in life. Yep. That you have different views of stuff. I read something one way, someone else reads something one way. That's why we have the chat, to be honest, is because when you have, 50, 100 people talking about the same topic, you have a bigger picture of it. You have a better understanding ultimately of it. Community makes things clearer. So.
Well, I think that's why it works. I mean,
right.
When you listen, you're sitting there and you'll, like, let's say you'll go off on a tangent, and then somebody else will jump in and say this, and then somebody else will say that, and then somebody will be like, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about it that way, and then it really helps the discussion. It's just amazing as an outsider. I mean, I love listening to lore of games, especially in a game like Destiny, where you're starved for it because there's not enough in game. So you go to the outlets to try to get it, and it's just amazing how people like you pull that all together and make it sound not just make it sound believable, but it's like, oh, okay, well, they must have like this inside look, just how they're thinking at Bungie, because that makes too much sense not to be right, you know? And then you think, you know, oh, you know, when I go up and I see Remy and I go to Bungie and I say, oh, well, you know, it's like this, and they're gonna look at me and go, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, well, you don't watch that podcast, huh? You know. So. But no, it's awesome. I love it, and you know, you would. I think what the other reason why I enjoy it myself so much is, and why I say, you know, you're a lore master, you know, is it's not. Sometimes when you listen to people, whether it's a single person or multiple people, they just it's too textbooky. It's too much like going to school, and in your podcast isn't, you know, and it's that I think that's what makes it great that, you know, you're part of our, you know, this whole network. We're all together. So it's great.
You totally have Justin to thank for that, because if it was just me, it would totally be a lecture about stuff.
I'd be sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would put you to sleep.
I'm sorry, chat. I picked the wrong guy. No, seriously. It's awesome.
No, it's a team effort. And I think that's, you know, that's the other big thing, just like the rest of the chat. Everybody brings a different thing to the table.
Yep.
I don't think we would be where we are with the group without every individual piece. And, you know, I don't think at all. I don't have any illusions at all about that.
Yeah, I got tons more, but I better pass it over, or Remy's going to kick my butt taking into his time.
Right. What in the hell is going on here? No, seriously. Seriously, when I hear people talking like long-winded explanations and things like this, I just sit back and think, well, thank God it's not me, because it's usually me. You know, it's usually me. I'm looking at the chat and they're like, please have someone else talk. I'm like, well, they're not talking about me. Agrios, questions for our good friend Blue.
All right, so I have two questions. The one question's I'm gonna elaborate. One on the chat, Jelly Belly was asking about what you mained in Destiny, and I was wondering, you know, what the subclass was, like what your if you had to lock in your choices on your Guardian permanently, and you could only play one from now on, what would that Guardian be?
Night Stalker Hunter. Mostly because so it's so funny. Philosophically, I align more with Warlocks. Play style, I'm 100% Hunter. Like I can't floof. I'm sorry, I can't. Like I've tried, I've given it a fair shot. I can't do it. I hit the wall every single time. But with like Hunters, that's the play style I have. And so when they introduced Night Stalker, it was the best moment of my life, because I was like, yeah, finally, Hunters get a support class. Like we can actually contribute to the group. So yeah, Hunter, Night Stalker. I don't think I've switched from I take it back. I had to switch to Gunslinger for one of the quests. But would you go to primary style and secondary style? Mida, and then Mida's my primary, and then the Yao Tu Yun sniper rifle. I have a really fun one.
Excellent pronunciation.
I get to call it my flower rifle, so I don't really care. Everyone makes fun of me for it. They're like, "That's the worst sniper," and I was like, "I don't care. It doesn't move when I shoot it." So
wait, what makes it the worst? Is this actually a thing?
I have no idea.
Well, it's not the highest impact tier. It's not the ideal tier necessarily, but it does have its own benefits.
It has fairly low intrinsic target acquisition, right? Its initial target acquisition value is lower than like your 1,000-yard stairs and those kind of archetypes.
That it hits softer.
Yeah.
I just know that when I shoot it, it doesn't move. Icebreaker was fun. Icebreaker was, before I really got hooked on Mida, Icebreaker was my go-to. That thing is the exact polar opposite of the flower rifle. You shoot that thing and you're lucky to be still on the game planet once you get done. Sure. And then heavy, I just never use heavy, so I don't even know what I have equipped. I think it was a rocket launcher or something. I honestly don't remember what's in my heavy slot because I never use it. So
man, that's such a funny answer. Agrios, do you have more?
Yeah, so my question is, being a lore expert who like knows all this stuff inside and out, what piece of lore can you just not deal with? Like, it's not right. It shouldn't be there. It doesn't really make sense. It bothers you to no end.
Oh, there's actually a lot of answers to that question.
Pick your favorite.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the one that I couldn't deal with, but the one that I think needs more clarification is the timeline in regards to the Rise of Iron timeline with the Iron Lords. There was a bit of a discrepancy with the way that they explained how, like, the timeline that they explained prior to Rise of Iron it's like, okay, it's very vague. We don't really understand what's going on, which is annoying, but okay, whatever. And then Rise of Iron, they came and they clarified, okay, this is what happened before the city, but some of the answers actually slightly contradict some of the other stuff. It's just, yeah, chat's shit, just yelling payin right now. Payin. Just, it's not lore. Go away. But yeah, the Rise of Iron timeline, I think, needs a little bit of fine tuning to me. That was, yeah. And then yes, Shay in chat does have the winning response to this question. Should just be payin. Payin just needs to go away. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for answering that, but wait, is the Church of Payin in your chat? Are they chasing me? They're not. Ha ha ha. I can say it.
You successfully evaded them.
I've hidden them.
Okay, so I have an addition to that question then. If you had to put your finger on somebody who, is telling us things in the game, they're telling us information, we're supposed to trust them. If you had to put your finger on someone and say, that person's a liar, who is it?
That's a tough question. Like, for certain, I really want to say.
What you think? Your gut.
I really want to say Toland, because he's kind of an a-hole. Like, I know a lot of people have that feeling about the speaker. That's a very common answer to that question. The thing is like, given the context of what the speaker is in, I don't know. It could easily go either way with him or her. I'm pretty sure it's a him. We don't have any confirmation on that, which is another fun fact. I know a lot of people say that.
A human, right?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
I mean, are we certain of that?
It wears a mask.
Oh, so we don't know if the speaker is a human person.
I never thought the speaker was human.
We know the speaker is the speaker. He or she speaks for the traveler, supposedly. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of secrets kept. Well, which is another kind of big thing that seems to be coming out, is the secrets that the speaker keeps seem to be coming back to bite them in the butt a little bit. Because Osiris had a secret, and that led to Osiris leaving. Lysander found out a secret, and that got him pissed off and got him kicked out. It just, there's a lot of secrets. Clear communication is necessary for a company to continue existing.
Excellent. Jez.
Yeah, so I never know any questions. So what I want to see from you, can you give a brief, dirty synopsis of the philosophies of the three classes?
The philosophies of three classes. Okay, so warlocks seek to understand the light and will pretty much do whatever they can to understand it. Titans pretty much predominantly are all about defending the city and the dream. Well, the majority of Titans are. If you pay attention to Zavala, he speaks a lot about the dream of the city, which is a philosophical basis in which they need to protect the citizens. They are the last line of defense, and basically that's their job. They're honor bound. Hunters are actually kind of similar in that they just usually are the people who are exploring outside to find new people to bring back to the city and to protect the city in their own way, which is a very individualistic manner. Hunters are usually much more loosely aligned with things, but warlocks are intellect, hunters are pretty much independence, and then Titans are defense and protection.
Does that answer your question, Jiz? Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't even a question. So yes.
Okay. I would
Wait.
like to know what.
Wait. Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to stop you in case you were going to move on. Okay. No, go on, because I know I have. I know I have more questions. Okay, and I'm pretty sure Quiet Little Gray over there has more questions too.
Mhm.
So
Not
Right.
little. Not little.
It's
What are you
always.
talking about,
It's always.
sharks?
I was gonna
Just
say
because
it's
I lived
always
in your
the
beard
quiet
for a
ones.
week.
Okay. Blue, I would like to know, is there one piece of information, like let's say in the next set of lore in Grimoire that we get, is there one piece of information that in your opinion would just knock so many dominoes down? Like is there a piece of information that you are like inactively looking for but are always ready to find out what that is? Because I imagine when you do your level of investigating, and it's got to be fairly simple with Destiny, because you're only looking at the information that Bungie has put out over the last couple of years. I mean, they do reference an insane amount of history, like every single weapon and mark and everything, is a nod to something else that's happened in time. So like I imagine that you've searched everything that you can search, and then you can call it a day. Is there something out there that you've just been waiting for someone to mention that would just blow the lid off of so much you're waiting for?
I'm actually expecting that to be what we see with the Concordat, because up until what was it, the Dawning, I think, was that Lysander's Cry was the Dawning. Up until that point, everyone assumed the Concordat was gone, that they were nothing. Like there was nothing there, and then all of a sudden, poof, the Concordant's back, and they're not only back, but they're actually actively trying to persuade Guardians to come against the city. And then we get a connection with Lysander knowing a secret. Well, like I kind of mentioned before, we know another Guardian who had a secret and had a huge issue with them. That was Osiris. Osiris got kicked out of the tower. Basically, he left, but I mean, he was exiled. So to answer the question, a small piece of trivia. I mean, anything from where Osiris is. Are the Ahamkara still around? Because there's giant hints that they are, but we haven't had confirmation either way. Or what is the Concordat doing? I mean, any one of those three can, there's not this is a house of cards, and any one of them could be a gust of wind that just blows the entire thing down.
Well, I'm excited for when you find those pieces.
Oh yeah, you'll probably hear heads exploding from our
right. My phone's gonna sound like people are throwing those little mouse on the ground, those little pop rock things. I'll be like, this is not a notification sound I'm familiar with. What is that in that mission where you get cut off from Cade and Eris? What is that skeleton of? That giant skeleton? The
which
worm
one?
thing?
The worm?
Like at the where you fight that ogre, and then Zavala says, "Did he just take an ogre?" Or
the are you talking about the ossified cow, the stone thing in which is it a scannable item? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you take that
like
chunk
at the
of
very
it out
beginning.
of there.
Yeah,
it's
like,
lost
but
to
in that
light
room-
is the mission.
Yeah, in that room there's a gigantic skeleton.
Oh
basically.
yes, yeah. That's supposed. I see what. Yeah. That it's also a great place to sit on top of with an icebreaker and shoot things with, because they can't get to you. That's the hunter in me, letting you know. Yeah, I think a lot of people. So they're actually referenced in the Oceans of Storms 2 card. That there were creatures underneath the surface of the moon, that were eating the astronauts that were there. And so that actually is a question that people have is, I mean, we assume that these are Ahamkaras, but it's also a worm. Right. So, and that's a huge debate is, are the Ahamkara the worms? Are the worms Ahamkara? What's the difference between the two? They seem very similar, but there's also a lot of disconnect on, their basic principles, basically.
What would be crazy is if the Ahamkara were to the worms that knights are to Thrall. Like if it was just an evolution.
There's a big theory, because that actually, there's some ground to that as well, because because we know there's 5 worm gods, which actually indicates there's a hierarchy in worms. And we know that there are different worms because each of the hive have within them, the larva, one of which is descended from one of those 5 gods. So there's tons of worms. And the way that in the Books of Sorrows those worms are described actually are very insectoid. They're very larval, and then they evolve. And so there's a theory that there is an Ahamkara inside the Traveler, because it's a giant incubator, which, going back to the insect theory, would kind of make sense. It's like a cocoon. I'm not really sure how much water that particular theory holds, because there's a big hole in the bottom of the Traveler. But the connection between the worms and the Ahamkara is, you go over to the Destiny lore subreddit, and there's usually at least once or twice a month there's someone who posts something about that. And it's both sides. Both sides are very adamant that they're right, of course.
Excellent. I had another thing to say. We should just have you on often, and then just ask you as if like what I want to ask you right now is, when are we going to see Noxus?
Oh,
I want to know these things, but I can't really ask you that. So, Gray, round 2, final round, fight.
All right, I want to know, with Destiny 2 coming out this year, 2-part question: what are you most hopeful that you will find out from the story of Destiny, the lore in Destiny 2, and what are you most afraid that you might find out? What would actually be kind of disappointing or crushing in the story that you almost don't want to know?
Great question, Gray.
That I overthought things, which is probably very, very reasonable. I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see where the Osiris camp goes. There's a lot of really interesting connections between that and, like I was saying, the Concordat. I was talking to Bife about this a little bit earlier, but there's a really, like, Destiny from a story perspective, this is not an offense, but it's pretty basic. Like the story arc is pretty basic. There's a really big trend in a lot of fantasies that, your 2 bitterest enemies find a common enemy and join forces. And if you know anything about Osiris, if you just read the Osiris Grimoire card, you know that he and Lysander were the biggest. Like, they butted heads on everything. Osiris couldn't stand people who were political and who were, two-faced and all this. And Lysander couldn't stand Osiris because basically he defended the Vanguard. He was the Vanguard commander. They were like polar opposites. And then all of a sudden they're both kicked out of the tower. And so I'm not saying necessarily a speaker's evil, but all of a sudden the thing that was separating the 2 of them is gone. Like they don't have it. And now we find out that the Concordat has a secret that the tower is kind of nervous about. And we know that Osiris found out a secret, and that resulted in him leaving because he got so annoyed. To me, I'm kind of expecting that to culminate into usually a pretty common trope in most, like I said, most fantasy stories, is you have those 2 bitter enemies that come together. But yeah, as far as what I'm afraid to find out is like, oh yeah, Osiris is a bad guy. That's it. Like, I'm like, no, there's so much potential. So yeah. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I'm satisfied.
I don't think Osiris can be a bad guy.
I don't think Osiris is a bad guy either, because Osiris is amazing, and I will defend him all day.
Why isn't Osiris the skeleton in the lighthouse?
Why isn't? That's a great question, actually, because that skeleton is really annoying. I haven't actually seen it in person, but I've seen enough screenshots. Oh yeah, PvP and me and Destiny are not. I can hold my own, but I'm not lighthouse material apparently.
Well, me neither. But I can put together 2 other guys that are good enough to get me there. Team building,
community, right? Community. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
The other thing about that skeleton, if I remember on that one, is that skeleton was also in the room full of Vex body parts, or Vex armor parts, I guess technically, because the Vex don't really have body. And so there's a big theory on that one, that Osiris is actually trying to figure out a way to basically synergize humans and Vex. In the same way that an exo kind of is a positronic brain type thing. There's a giant conspiracy theory about that whole thing, which is really, really interesting. So yeah, I don't know though, because the other thing is if you go and listen, if you go stand by Brother Vance, the way he mentions Osiris and the way that he talks about Osiris indicates that Osiris is still active. We also know that Eris is still sending reports to Osiris. We know that, just recently we know that, supposedly, Eris and an envoy, but believed to be envoy from Osiris, or possibly Osiris himself, met with Marasov before the whole events of the Taken King. And there's a lot of little tidbits that kind of just make it where that skeleton, the skeleton could be Osiris, but it probably isn't. I want to say, I think Osiris is still active now. Whether or not he's physically active, because we have another person who's active and it's not in the Destiny universe, and that's Toland. So he's still annoying the crap out of everybody, and he doesn't have a body. I want him to go away.
Well, all right then.
Awesome. No, that's I believe he's still alive too. I was just curious what your take on the skeleton was.
Yeah, no, I think the small connections that you get from Brother Vance, and then the fact that we actually have a couple Grimoire cards with Eris still reporting to him. I think and they're small enough to be breadcrumbs that I don't think that they were deliberately put there to mislead people, because that's another thing that's really fun is like you sometimes get stuff and you're like, I don't think that's supposed to be right. I think they're trying to make it look weird when it's not. So yeah, I think I kind of still think that Osiris is still around, just personally.
I agree.
All right. Who is next? Sharks, are you next?
Okay, so here's my question. Has Bungie screwed up at any point and put in lore that contradicts other lore? And if so, what do you guys, as the people that deal with all this lore, come up with as answers to why it's changed?
I mean, I think that is the benefit of Bungie being so vague in a lot of their grimoire, is, kind of like what I was talking about with the Rise of Iron. The timeline is kind of like, I don't know what's going on. But then again, the entire timeline's like that. So like, they're like, yeah, it happened here in this 100-year period, but we haven't actually told you how long it's actually been since the collapse. So, okay, that still works. As far as how we explain stuff, space magic usually is our tongue-in-cheek answer. But it's usually like, the thing that we always go back to is like, if it's getting to the point where we're getting really frustrated, like with the Rise of Iron timeline, there was a couple points where we got really frustrated. We're trying to find out, where does this logically go? Like, I don't understand this connection. This, the whole thing is like it felt weird. We came back and it was kind of like we took a step back and we're like, it's a video game. I mean, and I don't mean that tongue in cheek. I mean, it's a video game. There's going to be things that just don't make sense. We haven't actually, we haven't found too many things that are inconsistent with one another. There's a few things that kind of make you kind of have to like, wait, hang on, maybe there's something bigger going on here. And usually when you pull back and you look at things from a bigger perspective, or, I mean, hell, I've had people come in and ask me simple question. One of our moderators in Focus Fire Chat, she started her involvement with asking this basic question of like, I can't even remember. It was so long ago. She came into our chat and she said, "Hey, I don't understand what this is." And it was like, it yanked us all back because we were so far into this rabbit hole of trying to figure out where this whole thing was going. And her basic question of not understanding this basic topic pulled us all back out of this rabbit hole and made us actually realign what we were looking at. And all of a sudden it was like, it made perfect sense.
Right.
So, I mean, and that happens more than a lot of people realize. Is these people who come in and who are new and who ask these questions, they do us more of a service than I think they give themselves credit for, because they force us to constantly reevaluate our starting point. And so that's that. I mean, again, the first thing that comes to mind is Rise of Iron. Rise of Iron timeline kind of is like, but I don't think it necessarily breaks things.
Okay. So. All right. So this goes into my second and final question, since we do have other things to talk about, and I don't want to just sit here and inundate you with questions all day long. But okay, so here's the question: is obviously it's easy as far as doing. Well, no, easy is not the right term, because I wouldn't be able to do it. But it's easy as far as doing lore on something that is in a grimoire card, or is referenced via grimoire, or something that one of the characters have said in the tower, or yada yada yada. But what do you do as far as coming up with lore for something that is complete random in the game? There is nothing out there on it, but maybe it's something big, it's something that you see all the time and it's there, so you've got to make lore on it. How do you work with that?
It's a lot like playing Connect the Dots. To be simple in the answer, what we do, and this is kind of the reason we do it, we every week, whatever topic we're doing, we also put together what we call mind maps, which is basically we start with kind of exactly what you say. We have a topic. For example, every weekend we run the poll that's over on Twitter. And whatever wins, that's what we talk about. And so come Monday night or Tuesday morning, I throw together a mind map. And basically what I do is I start with, okay, for example, Sun Singers. I'm like, what grimoire cards do we have on Sun Singers? That's our starting point. Pull them in. Okay, we have 2, which is really annoying. We have 2 cards, right? I'm like, okay, cool. We got the 2 cards. That's kind of bare bones. What else can we do? We have items. We have quests. We have, flavor text. And so what I start doing is I start building out this mind map. And what happens is, as you build this thing out, and this is why we build them, as you build them out, you all of a sudden start seeing common themes that connect the topics, right? And it's not in grimoire. It could be a random flavor text on an item that has nothing to do with Sun Singers all of a sudden, but it's using the same terminology that the Sun Singers use. And now you're like, wait, hang on, this is what? It's kind of crazy how many of those different things we find. Now, that could be completely unintentional on Bungie's part. There's a couple things that we kind of heard from the writers were unintentional. But for a large perspective, or for a large part of it, it seems like there's a very common theme. And that's really where, once you get past reading the grimoire, I definitely suggest checking out Ishtar Collective. They make us sound a lot more intelligent than what we really are because they make it so much easier to do this very quickly. They basically have database to everything. So you go to Ishtar Collective, you type in Sunsinger. Not only will you get back every Grimoire card, you will get back every item. They don't have flavor text or they don't have dialogue just yet where it's searchable. Actually, I don't know. I use Destinypedia for the dialogue. But that's where I start. I start with Grimoire. I go to items. I go to quest, and then I go to dialogue. And that's really. And then by that time, you also are getting enough information to kind of start building your own theories on what's going on. And then then it's like, oh, hey, I think this is going on. Let's go search. And you start back at square one with that idea, and you see if there's any connections that are found within there. And that's kind of the weekly cycle that I go through every day.
And you have time to play still. It's crazy.
No, not really. It's amazing. Like I'll be honest, I have not played Destiny in a very long time. Mostly because my game time has been between doing the podcast and work, which has, hey, it's a new year as a programmer. That means there's a lot of stuff you got to do. My game time is basically, hey, you have 15 minutes, go. Oh, and I have a 3-year-old who, hates going to sleep. That's always fun. So it's a choice of, do I prepare for the podcast? Do I talk to my wife? Heaven forbid we have a conversation that's not 2 seconds long because a 3-year-old's yelling at us. And so between all that, game time has been cut down really far. I play a lot of SWAT with Halo because mostly those games take about 5 minutes.
In Halo 5?
Yeah.
Man, I wish you hadn't said that. It's like every time Gray brings up that he's not a year 1 Guardian, I just notch right down,
it's okay,
man.
It's okay. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. It's wrong, but it's completely okay.
Okay, so I lied. I do have one more question. When the hell are you going to get a PS4 so I can play with you? Because
oh my gosh. Yeah. Hey, you know what? You can take that up with the better half of me. That's not I regulate all those decisions to the person who actually knows what she's doing in life.
Yeah,
smart.
That's smart.
Excellent. All right, so are we done asking him questions? I'm ready to talk again. Gray, are you done? Sharks, you done?
I got about 50 more minutes of questions, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we're gonna have to leverage that from his answers. Okay, 50 minutes of questions isn't gonna help us very much. I would love to hear about this Burn Bright, Burn Blue.
Oh yeah. Okay. So and I guess this kind of ties into getting talking about the Bungie stream this week. The best and most important thing was announced. There's some other stuff announced too, but hey, you get your blue fire back, and that's all I care about, because it's amazing. And so, I think it was Sharks actually that kind of made a joke on Twitter about, oh yeah, you're going to talk about the lore of blue fire, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you're joking about that. No, I have a page and a half of it. So the blue fire was actually a thing that Bungie started doing back in Halo 3, which was around 2007. And for a long time, actually about 4 years, it was exclusive to Bungie employees. I mean, to the point that Frankie, when he left Bungie, he got his blue fire extinguished. They actually turned it off on his character. And there was, up until 2011, there were 2 individuals in the world who were not Bungie employees who had the blue fire. That was Nathan Fillion for his work with ODST, and then a user who goes by the name of Pope Rex. And the reason why Pope Rex had it was because he won in 2009. He won a contest, basically. He won a tournament that the entire prize, well, not the entire, but one of the big parts of the prize was you get Bungie employee armor. That was the prize. It was the point of the tournament. So that was the only 2. And then basically there is actually So this all, if you guys don't know the timeline of Bungie, it actually originates in Halo. Like the Blue Fire was back when Bungie was making Halo.
Oh, really?
And
I didn't know that.
yeah. It was, and actually it's really funny. A lot of people assume that it's a helmet. It's not. It's actually the chest piece. Because what happens is they had the animation on the neck, which then goes up over to the helmet.
Oh, that's interesting. I just want to stop you real quick because I was away. I wasn't joking.
Okay, perfect. Good. because I found a lot of stuff on it. So what I did was I actually was looking at, because I know there's a specific helmet. It was the Mark V helmet in the thing, and there is actually a quote from the lore of, I think it was Halo 3. It says the Mark V helmet features a sleek design that served the Spartans well when it became standard issue in 2551. Covenant legends say that Spartans wearing this armor would sometimes burst into terrifying flames on the battlefield, but such accounts were usually blamed on grunts suffering a bad batch of methane. And there you go. That's the source of the blue flame. Is in game, the grunts were high on methane and thought that their enemies were lighting themselves on fire.
So we can all put to this then that there was a lack of drugs. So that's why we haven't had blue flame for the last 2 years.
Yes.
And now somebody has come up with some new drugs before Destiny 2.
So yeah, pretty much. I like that. Yeah. But I mean, it was, I also made a note here. It was to the point that I think it was in 2008 or 2009 that Bungie actually ran several hiring campaigns where their entire thing was get a job, get on fire. Oh, do you have the blue fire?
Yeah. I don't know how to get this in.
You know, I saw that. Okay, so
There it is.
I don't have Xbox yet, but when I downloaded Windows 10 on my computer, I could actually get into Xbox stuff, and so I decided I wanted my name because eventually I'm going to get an Xbox, and I don't want somebody stealing my name. And I went on and I looked at Remy's thing and I was like, what the hell? I want a Bungie. That's awesome.
So there was one day in between. So like they right before 343 left Halo, like right before not 343, right before Bungie gave Halo, they left Microsoft and 343 took over. Right before that, they released the Blue Fire to everybody. It became a community thing that you could get. It was no longer employee only. But prior to that, and that was in June of 2011. Prior to that, in July, I think it was July. I think it was Bungie Day that year. That Bungie Day, they had where if you were a member on Bungie.net and you logged into Halo 3 or Halo Reach, I think it was Reach. You actually were given the Blue Fire for a day. So you could actually play with the Blue Fire, which it sounds a lot cooler than it was because it was the most infuriating bonus. Because if you ever got invisibility and you had the Blue Fire equipped, your invisibility didn't matter because people could just see your halo of fire. And it was the most annoying thing to find out about that was like, I'm hiding. Pop. How the...
Well, we all know that Bungie has taken very long time to realize that things like that happen, just like bad juju. Oh, awesome! I got bad juju. Can't see jack shit with shooting the gun, So
I think with the invisibility thing, that was actually deliberately programmed in because they were like it was kind of a point of pride. Yeah, they made it where it was like, or it was programmed in when it released to the community because basically it was like, okay, here's an aesthetics that is really cool. It's absolute shit in PvP. Don't use it. So you'll look cool. You're also going to be a giant glowing target. And if you played SWAT, that was a big problem, which I did. And that was, I think I wore it for like one game and I was like, my KD just tanked. I don't even know what happened. Oh, because I have a giant neon sign over my head that, hey, here's my head, shoot me. So yeah, it was The blue fire is in the original quote with the blue fire was forged in the flames of passion and perseverance. Go forth and represent was the original quote that they had with that. And again, that was because it was a very, very, very strict employee only benefit for Bungie.
I remember Deej posted before Destiny came out that he was in an elevator somewhere and he saw a guy wearing a Bungie shirt like that one. And so he said to the guy, he's like, burn bright, burn blue. And he was like, he postulated, he was like, what was going to happen next? I was going to say to this person some code words. Was I going to take this person back to Bungie headquarters, throw open the test doors, and let him play? And what ended up happening was the kid just gave him a dirty look, and they parted ways. Right?
No, you know what? Okay, so I have had things like that happen. I have walked down, and I live in a really small town, okay? And we don't have access to infinite number of things like Bungie shirts. And I saw this kid walking down the road, and he was wearing a Destiny shirt. And I was like, oh, yeah. I started, saying all kinds of crap about Destiny. The guy looked at me and was like, what? I was like, your shirt, Destiny? He goes, oh, yeah, it's my brother's shirt.
Right.
I'm done. I'm going home.
Done.
I'm taking my Xbox or my PlayStation and going home.
All right. Are we moving on?
Sure, we can move on. I'm done. That was my goal, right? Explain the blue fire.
Yes, and that was excellent. Thank you. Need to be worried about that synergy. I'm starting to feel it. You got answers.
I'll make them up too. I can make them up if I don't know. I'll just say it with a lot of confidence.
That's great.
No, you can't do
I really
that.
like
okay,
that.
Then
actually.
my credit goes down. Okay, that doesn't work that way.
Right, you could still be the guy that just yells sharks. Nobody here's taken that role yet.
I was done with that kid. I'm done with you now. I'm done.
Okay, so I feel really good right now. I feel really good. I'm really happy with Destiny right now. And this is coming off of a long tale of just disappointment and butthurt, I guess you could say. Like the fact that Bungie, like I knew that they weren't going to carry anything over. Like I knew that they weren't, because I wanted it so badly. I just figured that was, and then they strung us along for the longest time. But just like ripping off a Band-Aid does eventually feel better. I feel like I've been freed up. Like I went through today and deleted so much gear, like so much armor. I haven't gotten to the guns yet because I still have some really sweet rolls on guns. But as far as armor goes, like I want to be judicious in my plan for this. So like I want to have all of the armor that has the flames from Rise of Iron. I think that's going to be really cool to have. I want that for all of my people. I want these new vault or these new raid outfits, and I think I'm just going to keep one set of current Blah armor and whatever year one vanilla sets that I have, because I still have a lot of gear that's from year one that doesn't have any of the little marks on it saying it's from a different expansion. And so I just feel really good right now. Like I like the details that I'm seeing. I like how they've brought back everything at this point. And when the patch drops, they've brought back everything, and the way you're able to select everything, I feel like a weight has been lifted. And so what Destiny is to me right now, what Destiny has been for probably the last 48 hours, is I am preparing to set my Guardians up in Destiny 1 the way I would want to have them if I came back to play. Blue, we talked about this last week and the week before about how, Bungie is saying, oh, well, if you're going to have all of this stuff for the foreseeable future because we're going to keep Destiny 1 going. And I read a lot of people on the internet saying, well, who gives a crap? I'm only going to play Destiny 2. But as we both know, like Master Chief Collection. The Master Chief Collection came out so far after Halo 1, and yet you can still play that. You can go back and play that. And so I'm trying to think forward in time. There could definitely be a moment in time, a reason for me to go back to Destiny 1 and play. And so what I'm doing now is I'm treating it like a bonsai tree, but like a garden, like here is the hunter that I see in my mind. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. This does, moving on. So I feel like I'm building up this perfect image of these characters. And I'm really happy with this right now. I'm really happy with the changes that are coming. What else might also be contributing to this is ever since Horizon came out, I've gone back into like gaming mode, and I feel like this has really let go of the chains that Destiny has had on me, because just for the longest time I'm not at all interested in playing anything other than Destiny. And I was a gamer prior to Destiny coming out. Like I would fly games all the time, and right now I'm playing Horizon. I'm playing Mass Effect Andromeda, which is really good so far. I'm glad I picked it up. It's been a lot of fun, and also I'm playing Breath of the Wild, which basically feels to me like the game that should have come out after Ocarina in Time, and 1996, 1997, is that when that game came out?
I just did an episode on that. Yeah, I think it was around that time.
And so I'm no longer under Destiny's spell, and it's let me breathe. It's let me let go of some of these pieces of gear that I don't need. And as I'm deleting some of these things, I'm thinking, why did I even keep that? Why was I even so hung up on all of this stuff? And so I've gone back into playing a bunch of games, and I feel like that in turn is making me appreciate and love Destiny even more than I already do, which is Destiny is my home. This community is my home. And so right now I'm feeling really great. What I want to do right now is I want to throw it to Agrios. I want Agrios to read through everything that we could talk about, and then we will use the remaining time left to discuss those. So as Agrios is reading off all of these things, take some notes on stuff that you would like to talk about, or just remember it. I'm not one of those waitresses that can just remember it. I have to write it down. So Agrios, what do we got going on? What did we miss from last week, if there's anything from there? And also fill us in on everything that has happened since.
Man, I honestly am not 100% certain if we missed anything important from last week. I don't think we really did. I think we kind of plowed through it at the end there. But this week, of course, we had the weekly rituals reveal. They came on with their Wednesday update this week, and this is the second of three. We have one more next week to fill us in on the rest of the details. This one was about what we're going to get every single week to keep us going. There's a new weekly story playlist. The Age of Triumph will start with a quest from the speaker. It has 12 steps, completing missions in the featured weekly story playlist. It's a quest that's going to take you through all of Destiny's content from PvE to PvP. Everything from the previous Eververse iterations will now be available in the Treasures of Ages boxes. That's our new reward box of the Age of Triumph, Treasures of the Ages. It's been confirmed the Dead Ghost, the Devil Ghost, as well as the Blue Flame Skull Mask. They said everything that our live team has ever offered is going to be available from these, as well as new items. There are actually 3 categories of rewards in them, and it guarantees one item from both the left and the mid category, but not necessarily the new category. New armor is confirmed. They will show it off next week, and it appears from the video that the Twilight Garrison will now work with shaders. There's new ornaments for No Land Beyond, Vex Mythoclast, Soros Regime, and more. They've expanded the Silver Dust vendor, and there's new mystery bags and things like that for you to spend your silver on. It was said that if you're hoarding silver, the Treasures of the Ages boxes will be the last thing you can buy in Destiny. So it appears silver as a currency won't be carrying over into Destiny 2. Shaxx now has 2 weekly bounties and also some Silver Dust offerings himself. Moving on into the activities, the Death Singer and Crota are both confirmed as having challenges in the new modes coming out. The Challenge of the Elders will be updated to 390 Light, with legendary marks now being able to be earned as well as other rewards. The Challenge of the Elders is guaranteed to be more rewarding, and they said it's going to be generous as heck. So as we mentioned before, Blue Flames are back. The Daybreak is a new modifier on the Nightfall. It increases the recharge rate on all abilities. It takes in all of the epic modifiers. All combatants are stronger, but all abilities recharge more quickly. There's also going to be, they're bringing back Rainbow Burn, which will be all burns active in Nightfall. The Nightfall rewards will remain the same as they are now, however. They mentioned that the Daybreak modifier will show up once every 4 weeks in Nightfall rotation. It will be live the first week of Age of Triumph. And furthermore, starting July 18th all the way through August, the Daybreak modifier will be on every Nightfall. The Siva Crisis playlist will be at 350. Treasures of Dawning are now switched for the Treasures of Ages there as well. The Story playlist will have modifiers, and now will reward up to 20 legendary marks 5 times per week. Every week of the Story playlist will have a theme, like Mars and Venus, that is filled with story missions from just those planets. Shaxx's weekly bounty can be completed in the featured Crucible playlist each week. So overall, you'll be able to get 3 Treasures of Ages as rewards every week. 1 from the Crucible playlist, 1 from the Siva Heroic Strike playlist, and 1 from the weekly Story playlist. Deej said during the stream that if Destiny was always like this, it wouldn't have been a shooter. It would have been a space magic game of all the new modifiers on the Nightfall and such. Do we want to go ahead and talk about that now, or should I go ahead and plow through the rest?
Just give us the rest.
Okay. So there are also changes to the Crucible playlist. They mentioned outside of the stream, a Bungie Crucible designer actually said this in response to comments on Reddit, that they'll be reducing the total number of playlists available from 12 to 6 total playlists. He says that the number of active Crucible playlists is being reduced from 12 to 6. Classic playlists are being removed, and players who do not own Rise of Iron will only be able to play the weekly featured playlist. Core playlists will rotate each week to ensure major modes are given adequate uptime. For example, the 6v6 modes available one week may be Control and Supremacy, while those will rotate to Clash and Rift the next week. Both of Shaxx's weekly bounties will align with what is being offered each week. Because you can expect more details on the playlist changes and updates to Crucible Trial and Trials bounties in the patch notes. So if I understand this correctly, that means you may not just be able to play Control every week of Destiny. Like this week may be Control and Supremacy, next week Clash and Rift. So if it's Clash and Rift week, no Control for you. It's kind of a major change there. So also, something of note, if anybody is interested in finding out more information, Josh Hamrick has been excessively involved on Twitter answering people's questions. One of the more important pieces of info I noted there that I thought was worth passing on was apparently the shotgun in-air accuracy wasn't actually changed at all. He says the change got reverted before it went out, so it's the same as you have always been playing 4 months.
I thought so.
Stepping outside of the game itself, the Seattle PD sent out a tweet this week. Chill Nightfall run on PS4. 400 late level must have Gallahorn this Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. And they ran with a number of members from the community. So this is a pretty interesting community involvement there. Definitely outside the norm. But from what I understand, Seattle PD kind of steps outside the norm on that sort of thing. Would the locals care to confirm?
I would say so. This is Washington is kind of like it's kind of like a Disneyland in that I feel like the rules and the surrounding areas don't necessarily apply to what's going on up here. So
sounds like a good place to be.
Right, and it really is, right in line with the officers that I've had contact with. I saw that tweet and I just laughed and laughed. That's so funny. It's definitely not a sting, as far as I could tell.
So
I thought they were just being a little elitist, though. Really, 400 light level, have to have Gallahorn. Really, guys?
Well,
that's
okay,
how they're.
See, Gray. Wait. I think this is lost on Gray. Okay. I actually think this was tongue in cheek. This is humor. This was complete sarcasm and a joke.
I know it was humor.
Okay, well, before you started playing a game, the max late level must have Gallahorn thing for beating Crota was like a major thing in the community. So, Gray is our resident king guardian, Jay.
So he didn't have to go through that?
No, he came on just after that.
Yeah, and actually, I hate to break it to you guys. I've been faking it since taking King. I really only got Destiny with the collection in Rise of Iron.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh.
So just a few last things of note before we get into discussing all this. The Raid Secrets community on Reddit have been involved with trying to uncover every little secret, and they just recently had a major accomplishment. They managed to glitch the entire way to Atheon's throne room from Patrol. This is a journey that took 2 years to complete with a large amount of collaboration.
I gotta stop you because they're even saying this in stream. Okay, you cannot call it Atheon. It's not Atheon. Bungie has corrected everybody in the community. Okay, every other podcast has jumped on board. Even Blues podcast jumped on board last week. Okay, it's Atheon.
I come from an alternate
Sharks
timeline. I went through a Vex portal, and the one I came out in, it's pronounced Atheon. So until I find my way back,
Sharks, I gotta stop you, my friend, because you can't wear a green hat on stream. Are you crazy?
Okay. So I want to know, Shaytheon in the chat is the one. There goes Gray's computer again.
Is that Gray telling me off because I'm wearing green?
So Shaytheon says, no, it's still Atheon to me and should be. Atheon sounds lame. I agree, especially because you'd have to change your name to Shatheon. And that's definitely not going to work out. But no, like this is the same thing as like GIF or GIF. There's the right way, and then there's the way that the people who made it up wish to pronounce it. It's out of your hands, man.
Bungie, yeah, you know what? This is actually Bungie's fault.
You don't want to get into that argument with me, Remy.
No, this is Bungie's
Just
fault.
speaks.
We can all, if we say enough of this, maybe they'll fix it. They just need more cutscenes saying names. Then we'll be able to pronounce all these screwed up names. Okay, you hear that, Bungie? We want more cutscenes, more stories.
Blue, I'm sure you probably went into it just going off of Atheon's name alone. Why it's pronounced Atheon, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Theon is God and is a prefix for like the reverse, so it's godless one.
Yeah, it's like it's also like the destroyer of, like in Greek. So yeah, we were talked to a lot of people who've studied, who've studied like ancient Greek, and they're all on board with the Atheon pronunciation. So I'm like, I guess you can call it, what is it, Atheon? I guess. I don't know. I'm distracted by the amount of green on stream right now.
You look like a balloon. You look like a balloon in your box.
This is awesome. This is crazy. Right. Okay, we're not normally this crazy, Blue. I just want to let you know. Okay, normally we're a lot better of a podcast, but I don't know what's going on this week.
Look at Blue. I don't know what Sharks is talking about. This is the best show we've ever had.
Atheon is the destroyer of vocabulary.
You are. You're not fooling anyone, Sharks. And you speak for yourself only. Was that it, Agrios? Oh, did it disappear for real?
That was everything we wanted to talk
disappear for real.
He willed it. He willed it too strong, and now he's gone. Okay, so I just want to say that I'm very excited about this book. I'm very excited about the wild abandon that Bungie has chosen to throw Destiny into, because, you know, Mayhem Strikes is going to be really crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like, I remember Mayhem Clash showing up, and it was nuts. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the collections aspect of the book. I'm really excited about the Blue Flames and the bonus coming back. I don't know why that went away. You know, I understand that they didn't want to make it something that people had to do before they could do something else. But honestly, it was that little bit of push that really made me interested in getting more stuff done. You know, like once they took away these Blue Flames, I think that's when the Nightfall nights started going away. There wasn't any reason to do the Nightfall other than that bonus throughout the week. And so it took a lot of steam out. Sometimes I feel like Bungie is doing these things on purpose. Like they've already hit all of their goals. They've already hit all their goals for hours played total, hours played per person. You know, like everything is going their way. So they think to themselves, well, how can we, you know, slope the floor in the other direction? Let's see how many people will not play if we add this into it. You know, like, why not? You know, mad scientists down there. I'm certain of it. But yeah, just really all of these changes. I'm just really excited. I'm just really excited about the whole future of Destiny. I'm really excited to hear about Destiny 2. I'm really excited for this podcast to be over so I can go play some Mass Effect Andromeda. Blue, what is your takeaway from all of this information? Last week's reveal, this week's reveal. What are you most excited about? What do you see yourself playing a bunch of Destiny in the near future?
Probably. I'll probably be jumping back on mostly to go experience the vault with people who have not gotten. There's a couple of people in Focus Fire who have actually we've talked to them and they're like, yeah, I've never really played Vault of Glass. And we were actually going to be playing Vault of Glass with them anyways. So then when they came out with the, hey, we're going to bump it up to light level, it's like, all right, that's even more reason to go do it. Plus with the new raid armor and everything that's coming out with that, that's pretty, I mean, I honestly, Vault of Glass was like the highlight of my Destiny. I cannot say that I've ever had so much fun with anything in a video game as just running it with the group of guys that I ran it with when that was first there. You know, and so Vault has like a very, and I think they actually spoke about that on stream about like how they didn't want to change that because of the importance that, you know, those raids had to people. So I'm excited to see what they did change. I'm excited to see how those things are changing. And yeah, they're bringing back the Blue Flames. So,
right, it was a big thing. You know, it's exciting. Like I really enjoy talking to people who love Destiny, and it's funny that you haven't played Destiny in a long time because you're still clearly eyeball deep in Destiny.
Oh yeah. It's like. It's a running joke over there that they're like, how do you know so much about the game that you don't play a lot? And I was like, because we have a community. I mean, that's the thing, is like I can bounce ideas off people, and a lot of the information is not at this point in the game's kind of life cycle. Playing the game from a story perspective doesn't further the understanding of the story. It's mostly chasing a light level, chasing, I want to complete this set of armor, or I want to complete these particular emblems or collections of something like that. And that, I mean, yeah, it's nice, but as far as going into a story analysis, meh. It's like there's not a lot there. I already know the names of it. I already have the flavor text for it. I can technically go see if there's an emblem that I need to see. All that stuff. I don't need to. Plus, RNG has been ruined for me ever since Rise of Iron. I had a really good RNG run, and then Rise of Iron came, and it just went. So
crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. Jez, what is your takeaway from all of this news? And will Destiny be back on your playlist once this comes out? Are you interested in completing your book, or is it a lost cause for you and you just don't even care?
I'll probably complete most of it. Like, I have no reason not to. That's
what
weird.
What do you think? What do you think you might not complete?
I'm definitely not going to complete the lighthouse section.
Yeah, you don't think you can get to lighthouse?
No. I think I'm most excited to find out how the hell they explain robot legs.
Okay.
Because that hunter has a robot leg that you can see through one side of.
Oh, yes. Yes,
So,
it does.
Well, I think they confirmed that was an ornament, right? So, but you want more of a lore.
ornaments. You know what?
I still want to know how
it
you can
was
see through the leg.
you guys are talking about this. Okay, so Blue and his entire crew, and that wasn't meant as a it just came out. Okay, but anyways, so they talked a good 15 minutes about how the hell are they going to explain that kind of leg, and they can't.
I mean, we have freaking exos. So a hunter lost his leg in battle. We stuck a robot leg in there.
And then 5 minutes later, you have a regular leg? No, that doesn't explain that.
Unless they come out with the explanation that all of our guardians are just like the torso and head, and the rest are just grafted on.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
I like how a hunter having a robot leg's a problem, yet a third of the populace of guardians are just straight up robots. Like what?
Yeah, but 5 minutes later, when you're a different race, like let's say you're just a human, and you go from robot leg to normal leg to robot leg.
There are people right now with robot legs.
Yeah, but they don't put on normal legs.
I think what gives us reasoning some water is the fact that all of our hands look the same. So maybe they're just mass producing these hands.
Crickets for you, Jez.
I don't care.
Well, I mean, we've only really seen gloves, right? We've never actually seen hands.
Well, they're the exact same hands. Exact same gloves, I should say.
Sharks, are you excited about this? And I can only imagine that you will be completing your book. What are you most excited about? What is to you the best part of all of this? I know that we were not seeing eye to eye in chat, and I was extremely happy about this. And you said that you were not happy about this. Is this in fact just your knee-jerk reaction to the fact that I will soon have a flaming blue skull?
Yeah, that's the whole reason Sharks is that. That's what I was going to say. You took my punchline.
Okay, right. So that's not. I'm looking for the, and I can't find the exact quote. Okay, all right. So no, here it is. Okay, so this is what I got yesterday from Remy in a direct message. Remy and Agris and I have our own little chat because we are the fire team, right? Okay, it is maybe we should make it Tuesday night instead of Tuesday morning basically do a no, that's not the right part. Okay, you know, there's too many.
I'm
We'll
so
do the
glad that I'm
can.
not the only one.
Just summarize,
that
Shark.
does this.
Summarize.
We'll do the
Okay,
can.
summarize. Wake up or stay awake till 2:00 in the morning Pacific time and run nightfalls and do that shit like we used to do. Yeah, let's do it. My answer, nope. Okay, my answer is nope, because what the hell is the point of getting up or staying up till 2:00 in the morning, being really excited about doing the same old shit, just to get a blue flame?
I'm excited to stay up till 5 and do it.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so it's Shark's time. It's not Aggro's time. Okay. Okay, so no. Okay, so I understand. I love playing with my two fire teammates. Okay, and it is really cool to come in and do something different and new, or repurposed, however you want to put it, compared to how we have been playing for a long time. But I'm not excited about this content. I'm excited about going in and doing raids. And it's actually really funny. My wife turned around to me and she goes, well, you've been asking for that for the longest time. Why aren't you excited? And I go, well, okay, because they've thrown it at us. They're not at the very end just to keep us appeased until Destiny 2 comes out. That's basically what they've done. They're not upping the light. They are giving you all this new gear to chase. Okay, you know, we have all been complaining about this for 3 years now. There's not enough room to keep all this new gear. I'm not going to chase after all this old gear, because that's basically all it is, with some stupid ornaments on, so that in 6 months' time, I can leave it all behind and play another game. Yeah, I'm going to finish my book. Yeah, I'm excited to finish my book and get a t-shirt. But to be quite honest, 75% of my book is going to be done. All right. What is it that I'm going to need to do? I'm going to have to do PvP, which isn't Nightfalls. And I'm going to have to run 4 raids and do the challenges, which will be done in 4 weeks. All right. Once I've done that, I will have 100% of my book done. Okay. So I'm not excited about this new drop. I'm excited that people that haven't had a chance to play it, or at least play it at a light level, for instance, Gray. We'll go back to pointing fingers at Gray. You know, he's our year 2, year 3 guardian on the chat.
Slash punching bag.
Right, slash punching bag. Okay, it will be cool for him, and it will be cool to be able to play with him, because we never got the chance to play together. He has both PlayStation and Xbox now, so you know, we'll be able to go in as a fire team and play that raid, Vault of Glass or Crota or whatever, at a full light level. And that part will be exciting, but that's it for me as far as excitement goes. Jumping on at 2:00 in the morning to get this stuff done really quick, that I don't have that drive to do that, except for that. Like, one of the other statements that Remy made was, I'm a dad changing diapers all day long. That's my time to play. Okay, so that part is exciting, that he's willing to jump on and play, because, I mean, you just heard it 5 minutes ago. He wants to jump off this podcast and go and play Mass Effect. All right, so for him saying, oh, I want to play Destiny, and I want to play Destiny with my fire team, that part is exciting, but Destiny as a whole isn't grasping me right now. As far as, ooh, I've got to play it. No, I play it every day. I play it every week. I do my weekly rituals and play it. But, you know, it's just this content that they're dropping for us. This content is not made for us 1%ers, or whatever you want to call us, that have played thousands of hours into this game. It's more of a playing with friends and family. And so that's the only part of this that's exciting for me. As far as the damn skull, no. Okay, I'm not impressed with that at all. Okay, so I held back during our pre-stream. I bit my tongue. Okay, I'm not going to bite my tongue. Okay, this is bullshit. Bullshit. That's all I'm going to say, because, you know, it's like, you pay people that paid money to get stuff that was supposed to be only then and there, okay, you're either stupid or not to spend the money. And I did the first time. I didn't the second time with the wolf mask. But then for Bungie to go at the end of the game's life cycle and say, here, you know what? Let's just give it to everybody. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of the people that went and spent money on it. I'm not upset that Remy's going to get it. I'm upset that anybody that didn't buy it because they made it a paid thing is able to get it. You know, but then again, it doesn't really matter because none of this stuff is going forward. So
don't they still
Real
have to
money
pay
aside.
for it though?
what's that?
No,
Don't they still have to pay for it though? I
So
mean,
no,
you get
things-
to,
Free boxes a week.
You can pay for it because you can buy boxes, but you also have the opportunity to actually have it drop out of these boxes. Now the opportunity, and see, this is the other part that really bugs me about what they've done with this update is, and okay, so I don't like quoting people. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyways because it was kind of funny. After the stream, I went on to Dr. Lupo's stream. And Dr. Lupo summed it up in very, very short order. He goes, it was an hour stream of what shouldn't have been an hour stream. Sum up the entire video was we're getting mayhem strikes. We're getting blue heads. What was the other thing he said? Or was that it? Was it only those two things? I don't know. It was pretty basic. It was like, yeah, you know, they haven't really brought anything forward. It's really lame. So I don't know. Okay, there's my rant. There's my 10-minute rant. I better pass it over to somebody else.
Okay, so I just wanted to correct you real quick. I don't think of Gray as a punching bag so much as I think of him.
He said it, not me.
So much as I think of him as like that inflatable dummy that had the sand in the bottom, and you like punched it in the face and it like flew back and it would come back.
Bobo doll.
Yeah, that's the way I look at Gray. You know, like
yeah, I see it.
Oh, no, don't say it like that either. That sounds bad too. Okay.
I think that's the point, Chuck.
Okay, so Agrios, what is your take? We have very few minutes left.
Right.
What is most
So-
important here to you?
So I think this is all great. I didn't expect. I was kind of hoping for something new, just like one thing new, but like, whatever. I like what they've done with everything. I'm sure it wasn't like a very little work because we got to keep in mind too, they didn't just bring the light level up on these raids. They've reworked these raids. There's 4 new challenges in the old ones, but not only that, there's many changes. I mean, they implied they cut the cheese. We know there's the exploding, I forget what they're called, the exploding harpies in the Templar now instead of the Ultra harpies. So there's a lot of changes they went through, and they didn't just do the generic, let's just raise the light level. So that's something to be looked at, I guess. Downside, though, this should have been done all along. Every time we got an expansion, the raids should have been brought up, I think. I think it's sad that so many kindergartens and such missed out on the Vault of Glass experience because by the time they realized the Vault of Glass was there and could put a team together for it, they were way over-leveled for it. They never had that, I have to tackle the Vault of Glass right now because it's part of my story at stage 29, at level 29. They didn't have to do that. So by the time they were involved enough to go do it, it wasn't the same. So I really wish they would have just done this the whole way along. Every time there was an expansion, I feel like the end game should have been kept end game. I see Sharks' point with the Blue Skull mask, and I feel for him. But I'm not surprised. This has gone on throughout the whole thing. Even without the paid stuff. Look what they did with the Iron Banner emblems. You got to get rank 5 to get this emblem, and then that's how you know I'm a rank 5 Iron Banner Guardian. Here, buy it for 1,000 glimmer now. So, like, I've come to expect that at this point, and I don't put any sort of, like, faith into like the longevity of exclusivity of things like that. But then again, things that shouldn't be exclusive, like the Xbox people not having their crap, they still don't have their crap. I don't need that to be exclusive.
A sniper rifle.
What's that?
Which one is that? Oh, the
Zen Meteor.
The Zen Meteor.
Yeah, right. They have a number of things they don't have yet still. They don't have that one PvP map, Zen Meteor, and a couple other things.
The raid.
Jade Rabbit.
The strike, right?
Jade Rabbit, right?
Yeah, and the strike. The device is mine.
Yeah, I think my understanding is we're not missing out a whole lot on that.
It was really bad at start.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that it was like you're not missing out a lot.
I can say pretty much everything that was an exclusive. The only thing that you missed out on that was good was Hawkmoon.
Yeah.
So a couple of things, real quick tips for everybody. Shiro is selling a 100% roll Intellect Discipline Mantle of Gellion Hunter Cloak. It's definitely something you might want to look at. Also, two things of note. If you haven't got Flawless Raider yet, you might want to take care of that before they update the raids. We don't know if they're going to update the old ones along with the new ones as far as like what changes in them.
No. Oh, you talking about the cheese parts? Because
the cheese parts and like that the harpies are changing. We don't know what all is changing with the raids and if the old ones are going to change along with the new ones in those regards. So Flawless may not be the same Flawless it used to be. So you might want to make sure you get that before this drops.
I don't think it is based off of how they've explained stuff. I don't think that they're just going to keep light the same. I think they're going to keep those whole playlists the same. I saw some tweets from I can't remember who it was now, but they implied that that the old raids are not changing, that playlist and everything is going to be exactly the same. It's just the new stuff that's going to have the new.
I got that impression too, but I don't think we've been confirmed yet.
Right.
And then something else that was I thought was a pretty good thought to have here was if you need to get like right now we know you need to get all three of your factions up till rank 25 and get the artifact, or maybe you don't need to get the artifact. I forget for the book. Either way, you have to get to rank 25. That means a lot of people might be wanting to trade in materials they have to go ahead and rank up factions. Well, it's potentially a better idea, since they haven't mentioned changing the ratios at which we redeem our materials for at the factions, to wait until after the update drops to go ahead and trade in materials to rank up those factions, because of you might be able to burn bright, burn blue with a 25% buff to your reputation gains and go ahead and level up those factions a lot faster than before the update. So this is just speculation, but it's something to consider before you blow a whole bunch of materials into the factions pre-update. One final note, I guess, since we finished our discussion here. Somebody is doing a work-in-progress Destiny D&D 5th edition based tabletop on the subreddit. Cool. And if you're really interested in that, you might want to go in and see what the progress is, lend a hand, whatever is going on over there. It's an interesting project. I had the thought myself, although I wouldn't use a different game system than D&D 5th edition, but that's very universal, and I feel like, will reach a lot of people.
He did. I wanted to point that out in case he didn't toot his own horn. Agrios actually came to me about a year and a half ago and started saying, "Oh, would you be willing to play a tabletop game of Destiny?" And he was talking about different aspects of it. So, yeah, but somebody got there first because Agrios is so busy. He's finding the news for us. That's why.
I based it on the edition anyway. I would have tried to do an independent, more unique thing, but it is mainly lack of interest in getting together a group to play test it type stuff. So,
thank you for those tidbits, Agrios. I love them. Gray, what is your take on all of this news? What are you most excited about, and the like?
Okay, so a few observations. One, removing half of the Crucible playlist is clearly Bungie recognizing how much the player base for PvP has dwindled down, and that the matchmaking has gotten to a point where it's fairly broken to try to find decent connections and skill brackets within 12 different playlists. So shrinking that down, I think I was talking to Connor about it the other night, that it's their way to try to keep PvP viable as Destiny 1 reaches its end, which is where I feel right now. I mean, that's where I am. We're going to have this book, and really I only care about getting the t-shirt that says that I played 3,000 hours of Destiny 1 and I got this t-shirt. But outside of that, I'm not even so concerned about the completionist aspect. The collector in me has kind of gone away, knowing that these items aren't going to carry over to Destiny 2. So the amount that I'm going to enjoy them is only going to be short-lived. So I'm not as excited for this book as I was, say, the Moment of Triumph Year 2 book. I was really excited for that book to come out. In fact, if you listen back to the podcast, I was disappointed that when the book launched, all my nodes were complete. I didn't have anything that I had to do. And this isn't going to be like that. They learned from that. But the downside is, knowing that this is the end of the road, I'm actually less interested in putting in the time to complete it. Once I've completed enough nodes to get my shirt, I'm probably done with it. I think, the community, we're here, we're still enjoying Destiny. We are the select few that are still going in and playing this game. We play it for our friends, we play it for each other. But I think we're really, really just jonesing for Destiny 2 to come out and have a fresh start and something new, really, to reinvigorate this game and this life that we've actually come to integrate into our own lives. So I'm kind of hoping that we can pass the time with some of these lesser games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda and Mass Effect, and we'll struggle through those, but we'll get through this window and Destiny 2 will come out. And I don't think we're going to be talking too much about how Destiny 1 ended. I don't think we're going to remember it too much.
Right, it's probably because nothing's going to happen. My biggest fear for Destiny 2 is that it's going to be similar to Destiny 1 in that, okay, well, this traveler just has to sit here because otherwise it's sitting here for some people and it's not sitting here for other people. So I feel like it won't be until, like a big DLC or a big update that anything will actually change with that. I don't know where that came from. I just thought I'd throw that out there. I really like your take on these things, Gray. I feel like you will probably be more interested in completing things you don't need to complete the further out from feeling like you needed to complete them. Like the first thing I'm looking forward to is just marking off all of the nodes in the book that I've already completed. I'm very excited about that. And then I'm excited about figuring out which ones will be easiest to complete. And then, like you said, once you hit completion, whatever, I think that somebody in the chat said 75% was completion. I feel like once the pressure of all of that is gone, I might be interested in knocking off a couple other things, especially if there's people out there who need them to complete the book themselves. I'm very interested in helping out other people, get theirs done as well. So, okay, so that is like the end of the show. We are past time. So let us begin with shout outs, starting with Blue.
Okay. Big shout out to obviously the Focus Fire community, because without that community, I wouldn't be on your guys' podcast and I probably would have gone insane a long time ago. But yeah, big shout out to that. And a big shout out to the Guardian Radio Network just in general. Cause you guys mentioned this at the start of the show too, but it's really cool to not have, and I guess Bell kind of calls it the Guardian Radio family now. That's, I guess, the correct term for it going forward. But to me, this entire community kind of has become a family. Like, it is extended family, and I've had that conversation with a lot of people. But I think that it's awesome that people on different podcasts that normally, and I think in normal circumstances, would be competing with each other, they get together and they help each other. They want to help each other. They want to help each other grow and all that stuff. I think that's awesome. I absolutely love that. And so that's one of the big things why I'm so proud to be part of the Guardian Radio Network, or the family. And I know that everyone over in Focus Fire feels the exact same way. So, I mean, a big thank you to you guys for, opening the door and letting us come on and, join this amazing group within this even more amazing group that is the Destiny community, because this community is beyond anything that I've ever seen.
Excellent. Gray.
My shout out this week goes to Jez, because Mr. Jez here is never mean to me, unlike the rest of you guys. Thank you for always being nice to me, Jez.
Neutrality is not nice.
Oh, Jez!
Okay, so
me.
we were talking about this after you left, Jez. I have a theory on you that, like to us, to Americans and people from around the world, you seem like a really nice guy. Probably because you're Canadian, I
wish I had recorded this conversation.
So, but I feel like to other Canadians, you're probably like the biggest dick. Like, people don't like you. But like to us, like, I think that you're funny, and I think that you're very nice, and I love talking to you, and I love asking you questions. Because even when you are rude to me, it's like, oh, Jez, that's so nice to say.
I literally said at work today that I'm the biggest dick possible. So
I was right. Feels good.
You have no idea the snark.
But yeah, you're a really nice guy.
I'm starting to get an idea of the snark there, Jez. Starting to get the idea.
Sharks.
Okay, so you would think my big huge shout out would go to Blue, and it probably should, for him joining us this week. But there's actually somebody that just slightly edged you out this week, and it was my co-host that is right below me in chat. All right.
What? The man below you? The man under you?
Not below me in that regard. It's great. Gray's really been helping me out. I've been trying to set up my streaming so that it's a little bit more professional, and I've been trying to use OBS, and it's been kind of hard because I have a crap computer. But he worked with me for hours on multiple occasions, getting it working. It actually works pretty decent now. It's still not like super, super awesome because, like I say, the computer's shit. But yeah, thanks for your time, Gray. I appreciate it.
Happy to help.
Yeah, you're awesome, Gray. Agrios.
Well, I too am going to give my shout out to Gray, but for a vastly different reason. I really appreciate having the kindergarten punching bag around, so that way I can, have a vehicle to explain the things that real hardcore true Destiny fans already understand. But I feel like other people out there like Gray might not, be getting, so I have to elaborate. He's a great vehicle for that. So
I love it. Jez.
My shout out is to Atheon's other brother that no one talks about.
That's really kind of you, Jez. There's that Canadian goodwill that you just can't shake it. I feel like you fell into
imparted wherever I go.
You fell into like a skunk's nest of kindness, and you just can't get it off you. And you want to be mean to people. It just doesn't come across as mean as it should. Excellent. My shout out is to everybody. I've shouted this shout out before, but really when I think about it, I love everybody who I've ever had on the show and everyone who's listened. I really enjoy hearing myself talk. I mean, I don't, but you wouldn't be able to tell by how much I talk. So it's really great to be part of this community. It's really great to have people that I can just entrust with who I really am. And who I really am is a guy who loves the crap out of Destiny. And so this community is really amazing. It really means a lot to me. So thank you to everyone. And that wraps up episode 125. We would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show or have any comments on something that has already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.